Heard about it in 2010, introduced the bill in 2011. My initial desire, first of all, I'm a state representative, been in for 3 terms. I'm also a career educator, taught school for 32 years. I retired 3 years ago. I taught school for 32 years, 27 of them right here in the great state of South Dakota. I heard about Common Core. I'm going to leave some time for others, and I'm going to take about 10 minutes here at the most. Heard about Common Core in 2010. My initial reaction was, well, they may get math and they may get English, but they're not going to get history in South Dakota without a fight, because I was a history teacher for all these years. So in 2011, I brought a bill that would have barred the adoption of any national standards as far as the teaching of history was concerned. I was looked on kind of as a kook when I initially brought this bill. Nobody had hardly even heard of Common Core. Got it through the House, failed in the Senate, but at least we had a start. And I want to say this, folks, and I don't know where this whole thing's going, but I am proud of this. I am proud of this, that opposition to Common Core started in South Dakota just about as early as any state in the country. Okay? At least in a formalized way of bringing bills to oppose it in some way. So I'm proud of that. It's not like we're starting from scratch. A lot of states are just in the last year or so, this year and then maybe next year, they're kind of starting from scratch. We at least have a history where we've been bringing this forward. We haven't been able to be successful yet, although in some areas I think we have, because we've really raised a lot of awareness. In 2012, I brought another bill, and I kind of compromised a little bit, worked with the Department of Education, and this bill says that before we can adopt any further national standards, it has nothing to do with the math or the English that are already there, but before we can adopt any further standards, there has to be a year-long process of public hearings. And I wanted a 2-year period of time. The Department said, we won't oppose your bill. Department of Education said, we won't oppose your bill, so we'll take it down to a 1 year. I know I had great support from your representatives here, Representative Greenfield, Representative Tolson, and that bill was passed. And so we have at least a little bit of a mechanism of defense in South Dakota against the expansion of this. In 2013, my main bill was a bill to prohibit take this whole power away from the State Board of Education and just reserve it for the legislature. In other words, the bill I brought in 2013. I've been trying to approach this from different angles. You know, if you get blocked one way, you try something else, and you're just out there kind of trying. In 2013, again, we brought this bill that would have prohibited the Board of Education from adopting these new national standards and reserved that to the legislature. Again, got it through the House, kind of an intense debate, but we lost that bill again in the Senate. Because again, folks, I'm going to tell you, there are powerful people, not only in Pierre, but in Washington, D.C., that want this process to move forward. They are committed to this. They're committed to this ideologically because they have such a strong feeling that centralized power and centralized control over education is better than the local process. There also is a ton of money behind this, too. There is a ton of money, some of it from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, other national groups that really do want power and control over K-12 education in the United States. And again, my opposition to this primarily comes down to a couple of main factors. One of them is just philosophical. When I first heard about this as an educator for 32 years, I said to myself, I know this isn't good. Okay? Doctors know certain things instinctively. Farmers know certain things about agriculture instinctively. Housewives know certain things instinctively. Moms know certain things instinctively. Well, I believe teachers know certain things instinctively. At least this teacher did. And so that's why I got involved in this battle. I oppose Common Core philosophically. A fundamental premise of American education is local control of schools. And this, no matter how you slice this, no matter how you present it, no matter what you do to try to show that this is, it's really not going to mess up your school, and it's really not taking away from the local school. No matter how you slice it, it is an effort and a movement away from parental control and parental influence over the local school. And so, philosophically, I mean, you're going to get all kinds of data and information. Now, this is going to be so wonderful. If it's so wonderful, why don't we just, if it is so wonderful, and I have real doubts about that, but even if I would concede that point, I'm convinced that we could do this in South Dakota without having states like California and Illinois and New York influencing and controlling these educational standards, which are in two subject areas, in math and English language, are being implemented in the schools of South Dakota today. The second reason I primarily oppose Common Core is just from a financial standpoint. South Dakota is a low-tax state. A lot of times we hear people say, if you don't smoke, you pay the second lowest taxes in the country. If you don't smoke, you pay the lowest taxes in the country. If you do smoke, you pay the second lowest taxes in the country as far as state and local taxes are concerned here in South Dakota. And if we start going down this road, there is a huge financial obligation here. And the thing that really, this is a factual statement. In the same, when Governor Dugard, by the way, I want to say I support Governor Dugard in most of his areas, but I do not support him in these educational areas at all. I opposed 1234 a number of years ago, and I opposed this Common Core thing. But in the same two-year period, 2011 and 2012, in the same two-year period when local school districts were being cut 10%, which was a large, and that was across the entire state, local school districts were having their state support cut by 10%. The state of South Dakota, in the same two-year period, found, as Mary mentioned before, somewhere between $6, $7, and $8 million to go out for this teacher training program for Common Core. And don't you think that's a little unusual that in the same period when you're cutting your basic programs, and in some ways shifting some of that responsibility on the local taxpayers, that the state of South Dakota is finding essentially about $7 million for Common Core here in the state. So, I oppose Common Core philosophically, and I oppose Common Core on a financial basis too. This is a major financial obligation, and I'm convinced it is not going to have any measurable or significant impact as far as, quote, student achievement is concerned. I'm going to leave it there. I certainly don't want to monopolize all the time. I tell you, this lady here that presented Mary the first 45 minutes or so, she knows a ton about this. I applaud her. I appreciate her for all the hard work she's done in really getting down into the nitty-gritty as far as Common Core is concerned. One last point. The word I've used, and pretty much I've been saying the same thing now for 3 years. It's kind of an easy speech to give. I don't have to come up with a lot of new stuff. The word that I use to describe Common Core is it's a leviathan. It's this gigantic octopus-like thing that is just seeking to shove everything into one mold as far as education is concerned. It's the more I read about it and the more I understand it, the more I'm convinced that it is something that is not good and necessary as far as the state of South Dakota is concerned. So thanks very much, and I appreciate the invitation to be here tonight.